Good afternoon. We're here for a special edition of Talk of the County. This is a Buckeye City edition of Buckeyes Nation. Buckeyes everything. I'm in the Woody Hayes Athletic Facility here at the Ohio State University, talking to one of the Buckeyes of all time, college football Hall of Fame, high school football extraordinaire, and just all around cool dude, Michael Doss.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Welcome to Talk of the County.
Yes, sir.
I'm excited to just kick it and talk about all things Buckeyes, but also talk about life. That's what Talk of the County is all about. It's about not only talking about the professional lives that many residents of Franklin County and Central Ohio live, but just talking about life in general and why we live in Franklin County and why we love to call Franklin County home in the greater Columbus area. We have a lot of things going on in this town. Buckeye football is one of them, so that's why we're going to talk to you, because you spent a number of years of your life aspiring to be a Buckeye, and then being a Buckeye, and then life after you're a Buckeye and living in Franklin County. I want to lead off, Mike, by saying, from the beginning, many of us play several sports. You may have been exposed to baseball, basketball. Now kids are playing soccer and lacrosse. What sports did you love the most early on? And when did you know football was going to be your main sport?
Great question, Ken, and I truly appreciate the opportunity to be here on Talk of the County with you. This is a pleasure. I haven't done a lot of podcasts, but when you reached out and said, hey, you would like me to come on to Talk of the County, I was excited, and I felt what other place would I'd rather host it. We host it knowing that the show moves around. I said, hey, let's do it at the Woody Hayes facility and have this beautiful backdrop of all these luxurious trophies and Heismans, and just the opportunity to be in this building. And originally, to start to answer your question, being from Canton, Ohio, being there as a youngster, I started playing sports around 8 years old. Started with baseball. Baseball was kind of the first sport that kicked off in my athletic career. And I also played basketball and played football as well. Never got a chance to dabble into golf or tennis, or maybe I wouldn't be here. But definitely, when I look at it back, I say, man, somebody would have put a golf club in my hand at an early age. It might be a different story. But baseball was the first sport that got me going. Had a lot of fun with that. Played for the Canton Mighty Might New York Yankees, Canton Mighty Might Yankees, and my uncle was a coach on the staff. And, it kind of brought the whole thing of camaraderie, working hard, building friendships, sacrificing, knowing, on baseball, there may be a sacrifice bunt, or you got to, you're trying to steal a base, and you may pitch one game, and then next you're in the left field. So that sport kind of taught me to be learn athleticism through different positions. I was actually a left-handed catcher. When I kind of got to like 9 years old, they put me at catcher because I had the strongest arm to try to throw guys out at second base or for stealing. And so being a left-handed catcher, I had to learn how to jump out of the behind the plate to my right and get my arm free, because most right-handed batters would just stand there and be in my way, knowing that my left hand would be coming over top. But football kind of kicked in. I went as 8 as well that summer after baseball. Fall was coming, and I wanted to play football. And I started with the Canton Vikings, Little League Vikings, and my coach was Carl Jeter. He's still there now, still participating in youth football even to this day. Some odd, 30-something years later. And I started as a cornerback. So I was a corner, 8 years old, playing corner. And I was playing with the 9 and 10-year-olds, playing up. And I was able to start as an 8-year-old with the 9 and 10-year-olds. So the opportunity, and I think just I was aggressive and I wanted to hit people. So I think the coach took a liking to me. Like, hey, he'll try to make a tackle.
Right.
I might not be as big as the other guys, but at least he's not afraid.
Stick your nose in there.
Yeah,
stick your nose in there.
I'll stick my nose in there and try to have some fun. And ended up, moving to running back when I was 9, and then quarterback when I was 10. But I always played defense. Always was the corner, or I ended up moving to safety, being the last line of defense. Young. Those Little League, they always say, hey, the best player, the last line of defense. He'll make the touchdown, save the tackle. So did that, and I just think the sport itself, football, baseball, basketball, just athletically, I think a lot of kids these days specialize too early. My advice would be, continue to let these young kids, train and play all sports all around, because you just never know which sport may be the turn or give them an opportunity to go to the next level. But if you specialize them too early, they could get burned out. They could, eventually, stop growing. I mean, some guys are great athletes, 11, 12, sometimes 14 years old, 15 years old, and then they get to high school. Now everybody's their same size. Everyone's hitting the weight room. Everyone's, so
you can lose love for the game.
Absolutely.
When you being focused to be at this camp.
Right.
You gotta lift during these hours.
Right.
You gotta the same thing that turning students off to school can turn them off from sports if you just make it a job.
Exactly.
And for the great ones, it's not a job. They playing a game and they enjoying the game.
Exactly. You want to keep it fun. Keep the experience fun. It's like you want to be good. You want to pursue excellence, and nothing's wrong with that. But at the same time, like you stated, you don't want to burn a kid out too early. Got them personal training, lifting weights, and doing certain things to a level where it now becomes a job. It's like, hey, you're gonna work the rest of your life at some point, because sports will always end at some point.
Yeah, it's gonna come natural.
Yep.
And when you love the game, you're gonna work hard and not even realize that you're working. All of the, most of the great ones, while they're great, they the same in practice as they are on game day. But Little League football, I tell you, I grew up in a small town, and I've been able to accomplish many things over my 56 years of life. And we had Port City Football League, everything.
Okay.
I playing for the Port City Genies and the Labor Bowl. That's like the big deal. You practicing all weeks in advance, the whole month of August, getting ready for the Labor Bowl.
Nice.
It's like an 80-yard touchdown dude ran back, and I got called for clipping. I still remember that. I'm the county administrator for the largest county in the state of Ohio, and I still remember getting called for clipping in the Labor Bowl when I was like 12 years old.
Wow.
Still scarred by it.
Right.
That's how important Little League football is. I had to go on that sideline. I did not want to see my coach.
Hate that feeling. Definitely hate that
80
feeling.
yards.
Right.
I'm thinking I can't even go over here and talk to my parents right now. I don't nobody love Ken Wilson right now. He done got called for clipping right at the beginning of the game. So you learn lessons in sports, because I can go give speeches now in front of hundreds of people, and I ain't as nervous as I was when I got called for clipping. Had to go on the sideline, the whole town looking.
That's the facts.
So sports build you up and prepare you, I tell you, for life, because I can still vividly remember, oh man, they didn't call me for blocking in the back. I'm hyped. I'm just hyped. I'm like, oh, that was the case. Say it ain't so. But anyway, that's a little bonus content for Talk of the County. And that's why I didn't sign a letter of intent today or yesterday. Probably they saw that film of that clip and called and said he won't be playing for us. But getting back to serious business, you was eventually recruited by Ohio State to play football here. But your first experience with Ohio State was through the Young Scholars Program. And talk
Yes.
about how that ignited a connection for you even before the athletics all fell into
Absolutely.
place.
So the Ohio State Young Scholars Program is a program that's been 35 years in running, where they watch the 9 major cities will have students selected in their public school systems by their teachers from the 6th grade on until you graduated high school, where they watched you academically annually. You would have meetings monthly, quarterly, and every summer. I actually had the opportunity to come to the Ohio State campus and stay on campus for a week or 2 weeks at a time back in the early 90s and actually build a rapport with the university. And it's kind of ironic as well. I actually met my wife in that program when we were 12 years old. So that's another story we would tell in another talk of the county. But the Young Scholars Program, I was nominated, based off my family's financial hardship and then my academic prowess. You were able to earn up to a full scholarship. So that program, I got to come down every summer since I was in 7th grade and I stayed at the South Campus, stayed in the Stradley dorms. I stayed in the stadium dorms. I didn't even know the stadium had dorms at that time in the early 90s. Mm-hmm. Stayed right there in the Horseshoe. Stayed on North Campus. So I've seen the growth of Ohio State over the years just through that program, and then making friends in 9 major cities: Cleveland, Youngstown, Akron, Toledo, Cincinnati, Dayton. I'm at Canton, Ohio. I'm just maybe another one, Lorraine. So just the 9 major cities, being able to make friendships, lifelong friendships, and see each other every summer is a lot of fun. So the Young Scholars Program is still going. I'll still support it. I'm a contributor, paying it forward in the Ohio State way through that program. But definitely the connection for Mike Doss to come to Ohio State was long before athletics in my childhood academically. So, then obviously athletics kicked in. I got my scholarship offer my junior year in high school after winning a state championship, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, programs like the Young Scholars are so important because it's very difficult, particularly when you come from marginalized, underrepresented communities, to be something you've never seen before. I mean, you can Google, you can read, but to be on a college campus and to meet people going through the experience, people that look like me and you can think that why not me?
Absolutely.
Why not me? And that's what makes those programs so important. And that leads me to my next question, mentorship. Can you talk about the value of mentors? Touch upon those that have been mentors in your life, both here at The Ohio State University and beyond, who you come in contact with.
Yes, mentoring is huge. Just when I look back at my time, here at Ohio State, just coming in as an 18-year-old kid, wanting to be a football player, wanting to be a part of this program. You realize how hard it is. I was lucky enough that two of my former teammates, Jamar Martin and Kenny Peterson, who went to Camp McKinley along with me, were also here already at the program. And so that they kind of mentored me when I first got here to say, hey, this is this is the Ohio State way. This is the expectation. And then from an athletic standpoint, I mean, I grew up, following on Michael Jordan. I watched Jack Tatum. I never even knew Jack Tatum was Ohio State graduate until I got to Ohio State and he was walking the hallway. And I looked up and I'm like, man, that's Jack Tatum. He comes in our DB room with our coach, John Tenuta, and he's like, hey, guys, you want to, when you get out there and hit, you better hit them with that forearm, put it up right up under their chin, show them you're a man. And then just the mentorship, but to answer your question, my mentors, I would say, was my Uncle Larry, who helped raise me, my Uncle Steve, who was the first college graduate in our family, Uncle Steve Doss. So he had that experience. Like you said, being the first, I would call it, what's the word I'm looking for? First generation college student. He had that experience. He went to a small school called Tiffin, but in Ohio. But then to tell me, hey, when you get to campus, this is how you need to carry yourself. This is, how you need to talk. This is how you need to be in front row in class and make sure, because the student athlete is going to get picked on by the counselors and teachers and everyone anyway, because the expectation is we were just, jocks, and we didn't care about academics. So I was one of that would, dress, wear a polo shirt, khakis to class, and then I would go in and sit in the front row, ask questions just to let the teacher know I'm here, I'm present, just to show, that I want to really participate in learning, in the learning process. So mentorship, when I was here, I met Ty Howard. He was just leaving. He had left in '96. He was a cornerback here, secondary guy. And then Tim Patillo. Tim Patillo was a former safety here that actually played in the big game, played here, and then he became our player development. So Tim was one of the people that pulled me aside and said, hey, Mike, as well as your athletics, I want you to go out when you meet people, shake your hands, ask for the business card, figure out who they are, and build a relationship with them. Because at the end of the day, there's going to be life after football. And he was in that experience at my time in '99. So now, as I'm coming through the program and I'm seeing the different donors and, relationships being built, and I say, hey, I need to shake some hands, kiss babies as well, and make some rapport.
We definitely going to talk about that. Life, preparing yourself for life after football.
Exactly.
Because the ride is a beautiful one. I mean, I've never, I can never imagine what the ride is like. But you well compensated by any measure. Today's numbers for contracts are one thing, but when they were in, that was a lot of money then. Might not seem like a lot of money now.
Correct.
But just to have that opportunity to know that there are just fewer than 2.5% of all of those that strap it up, like me, that got called for clipping in the labor code as 12-year-old, don't make it.
Correct.
They don't make it to beyond high school football, which is where the day ended for me. High school football, then you go to college, and you play Division I football. That itself is a special privilege. But then to go on and play in the National Football League.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you think about it, I try to correlate it to an analogy. If you were at CMH Airport and it was going to take you to LAX, and there was only a 2% chance that plane was going to land in LA, would you get on that plane? And 100% of people will say no.
Nope.
They will say no. And the reality of it, when you're young and ambitious and you dream big, and I remember looking at those numbers during coming up and, playing and starting to get recruited and getting letters. And I was just like, the high school chance is like a 3% chance you go to Division I college football. Then it goes to, like you said, 2.5% to get drafted. And I was just like, well, if I go to Ohio State, my percentage points may go up. This is one of the biggest programs in the country. I might get to a 5%.
Right.
Then, if I play well, if I'm a All-American or something, then that adds another couple percentage points and whatnot. But at the end of the day, collectively, I think I probably maybe got to about 15%.
Right. But you would have got on that plane. You would have got on that plane because we just went on the tour.
Yes.
And look, gentlemen was asking you, young guys, like, why you look so upset on that picture? You were hungry. Hunger is a positive thing. You
I
was
was
like,
hungry.
I'm ready to hurt somebody.
Try to make by any means necessary.
I'm gonna work my way to get to the front of the film room and not the back of the film room.
Correct.
You use the same mentality that you touched upon when you said you wore the polo and the khaki. Asked a lot of questions because you know you got to be exceptional. Because at anything in life, first you got to dream,
Right.
and it takes people to dream towards something. Some people stop there; they just had a dream and they stop there.
Correct.
Then you got to have a plan.
Yeah, gotta have a plan.
Some people have a plan and they stop there.
Correct.
Then when you put the plan together, you gotta put the work in.
Gotta put the action
and you
behind
gotta put the action behind it, and then you gotta see how that's gonna turn out.
Oh no.
And then
yes,
the cycle repeats.
Yes, over and over again.
Over and over again.
Because and at that level of sports, you're being evaluated every day. It's not, hey, I made one good play today, and then I think I'm going to be the solidified starter for the rest of the season. No, you got to continue to make plays every day. You got to make new plays. Then it's another season. You got to prove yourself again. Got to make plays and go out and earn the right to be a starter. I mean, Ohio State alone, I was coming into a program where, the likes of Sean Springs, Antoine Winfield, the Nate Clements, these guys are perennial college superstars. And I'm coming in here as a, young freshman with no name, no understanding of what it's going to take, and try to earn the starting job. And then I fought my way through my freshman year a little bit and ended up breaking into the starting lineup and had a chance to start against Tom Brady at the Big House in 1999.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where you say every day you're proving your worth and you're proving that you're worthy, you want to earn it, on the field. And I think from just the level of the experiences, as you were stating, that experience when you're chasing it, you don't really realize how big it is until you look back when it's over. Like when I was just a young dog trying to eat, like, man, I want to give myself a chance to be successful, and I'm competing and I'm wanting to earn an opportunity. And next thing you know, I'm a sophomore All-American, and I never really chalked it up to say, hey, I'm one of the best defensive backs in the country. I'm like, hey, I want to win some games. We was 8-4 as a sophomore, right? So now I come back my junior year, I become another All-American, and I'm like, hey, I got a chance to go pro. Do I decide to stay? Do I decide to leave? Right. But I still have to prove it another year. And ultimately, my mom, weighed in on me very heavily on my decision making and wanted me to stay in school and be the first college graduate on my mother's side, because my father and my mother were never married. So on her side, she wanted me to be the first college graduate of all her children. And, I decided to stay. And I said, I'm only staying for to get my degree and to win a national championship, being a winner from Camp McKinley, winning, on little league levels and middle school levels, and just wanting to lead the program better than when I came in, because I was recruited in 97. We lost to your alma mater, Michigan State, in 97. And to not go to
I was in the horseshoe. I remember it vividly.
The upset where they beat us.
It was a gigantic upset.
And beat us, and we did not get a chance to play for the
Silver Bullets just had an off day in the office.
They did not show up, but so I was.
Now there's reasons behind that, but that's the subject for another podcast.
Yep.
I won't go into sports analysis, but I sit there and witness some things that was done a little bit differently than they have been done all season.
Right. So, but then ultimately I come in, my freshman year, we go 6-6. I stated my sophomore year, we go 8-4. My junior year, we go 8-5. So I'm just literally looking at the opportunity to go pro or stay, but I wanted Ohio State to be in better hands and a better program. And I decided to ultimately stay. And I said, I want to stay and get my degree and win a national championship. And we make the greatest run in college football history in 2002 that's never been matched until just, I think, a year or two ago, 14 wins in a single season, and, beat the perennial all-time great team, Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah, that was Columbus in Franklin County. On the previous podcast, I talked about how people here love to win.
Yes.
And your seats can get light. We just can't like embrace losing. And like we have some professional franchises in this great state of Ohio where fans are just so loyal. It don't really, don't matter if they win, but here, inside the outer belt,
Yes.
you gotta win, baby.
Yeah.
Or people ain't gonna be like cheering you on. You ain't gonna go in the store and everybody smiling and happy and embracing you.
Right.
They be like, well, how many days is it before you play Michigan again?
Exactly.
That's the mentality. But that's okay because I think that it spills over in other aspects of life here living in Franklin County. It makes people hyper competitive. It makes the fact that even though we're the 14th largest city, we're always thinking above our weight. We're always
Correct.
thinking and striving to do more. And I think that that's a valuable thing. You knew that you wanted to go into the National Football League as you outlined. But on day one, when you signed the contract with the Indianapolis Colts, did you also in the back of your mind think about life after football? I think it would be difficult to do that.
Yeah, that's a great question. It was.
We all humans, and
we are.
You think you can play for? You don't think you're that person. You don't think about the statistics. For all the reasons you made it,
right?
You won't think about the statistics,
right? So for me, getting drafted second round to the Indianapolis Colts under Tony Dungy was a phenomenal experience. Like you said, going in, I remember the day signing my contract, getting my signing bonus. And this is a true story. I get my signing bonus, they hand me a check, and I didn't have a bank account. I didn't have a bank account locally. They hand me the check. They said, well, where you going to go? I said, I got to go find a bank. So I got in the car, drove straight to PNC. And I remember the lady's name was Carol. And I walk in, I said, hey, I got drafted to the Indianapolis Colts. I need to open a bank account. She looked at the check. She said, oh, yeah, you need to open a bank account right now. You need to open one right here, right now. And open that bank account. But the vision of me, I thought I would play, get 10, 15 years, be a Hall of Famer, NFL Hall of Famer, all pro win 3-4 Super Bowls. And I'm just like, hey, I'm just doing what I've been doing since I was 8 years old. And ultimately, I had a 6-year career, a short span. And, you realize, for me, I remember my 4th year, my contract season, and playing in the Washington Redskins. That's about 2 minutes left in the game. And it's a normal routine play. A guard comes up. I try to kind of scoop and kind of get good around him. And he just pushed me over, and I heard it pop in my knee. And I just remember laying on the ground, and it felt like a little air went out of a tire or something, like shh, like a little. And I was like, I grabbed my leg. I kind of tried to move it. I couldn't move it for a second. Then it came back. I said, oh, man, I'm hurt. I was like, I can't get up. And I remember laying on that turf, and I was like, man, if this is it, what am I going to do next? Because of my contract year. And I was just like, oh, my gosh. And ultimately, I got surgery within like 2 weeks. And even though I stayed my senior year at Ohio State and we won a national championship, I still did not finish my undergrad degree. So this was October 2006, I signed up for classes at Ohio State in January 2007, and I was enrolled on campus finishing up my undergrad degree on crutches, going to class, not knowing what my NFL future would be like. And that was the start of my transition of kind of like life after football, that forward thinking as to after the game, what am I going to do? How am I going to move forward? And I just remember laying on that turf thinking I did not make a gazillion dollars, and I may never play. I might not gonna reach my goal.
You did go to the bank though and open up an account.
I did.
Because when I was 22,
yes,
and they would have gave me a check, I probably would have asked, "Where's the nearest Mercedes-Benz dealership?" And I took my check in there and said, "Can I cash this check to get this Benz?" When I was 22.
Right. But
I know that's what I would have did. I would have saved a little. a little, but
So,
I'd have went to the Benz. I would have went to the Mercedes-Benz dealership.
Well, I had a
If I
smart
rewind, I'm 56 today,
56.
folks. I rewind to 22. That's where I would have been at.
Well, I did buy Benz at some point. I did do all that. I had my fun. I had a nice little run as a professional. When you're young, and you think it's always going to be there, and it's always the next one's coming. And so, but I was had my wife now, a smart girlfriend then, and she would always tell me, she's like, tomorrow's not promised. So you better put a little something away for tomorrow. She's like, she was always standing there on my neck a little bit.
Right. Yeah. It always take that. It's good to have that. It's a blessing to have that, because otherwise you see some individuals that get on a 30 for 30 and it ain't for good. It ain't
for the right reasons at all. So I just, like you said, when you think about life after the game, and then what really helped as I finished, so I went to class that 07 spring, got some classes. The Vikings ended up signing me. So I went to Minnesota for the 2007 season, had a chance to play with NFL Hall of Famer 2B Adrian Peterson. His rookie year was phenomenal to watch. Finished that season on a 1-year deal. And then I came back in January again in spring of 2008 and actually walked with my undergrad degree in 2008 and fulfilled my mother's wish of me being a first college graduate in her side of the family of her children, and walked in the spring commencement right there in the Horseshoe. A beautiful hot day, one of the hottest days ever. They think today's hot. It was hot that day. We was out there in the Horseshoe, and but it was a great experience. Fulfilled her wish, and it kind of cemented the things are to come next. That there is life after football, and how I take those steps and moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're sitting here looking at national championship ring, which you stated that was an incredible accomplishment in a team game, because as you stated, nobody thought it was possible. That Hurricane team was flat out loaded. Just beasts of the game. I mean, they were saying that. I remember all the press conferences leading up to the game. They was like, y'all was running in high grass. They was talking about how fast the 40 times was of Miami players. And that and then couple of you guys just that were alpha males was like, we can run too. I don't know if y'all seen us yet, but
right.
Y'all act like y'all ain't seen us, but we can run too.
Right.
So a couple of your teammates, I just remember the press conferences, even though you had to be humble because you had to go out there and shock the world. Mm-hmm. But I look at that game on the level of when James Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson.
Really?
Okay. That was an incredible upset. Maybe, you probably saying, no, don't say it with that big of upset, because y'all knew something that I didn't know because y'all won.
Well, we kind of, our thing was, we knew we had a tough, stingy defense. We knew our offense was optimistic and they would make plays when they had to. We didn't have, this averaging 35 points a game, 40 points a game type offense, but we played really well and our special teams was really good. Our kicking game was really great with Andy Groom and Mike Nugent. And I think for us, when we kind of watched the film, so back, in that time, it wasn't a playoff. It was about a 6-week span, 5 to 6 week span from the end of the season until the championship game. So we really had a month to prepare for these guys. And we started watching the tape and we're like, they just play bully ball. They got the better athletes. They just line up and they're running the same plays every game. So no matter from the first game of the season to the last game of the season, when we saw their formations come out, and we were like, if they just come out here and line up in these formations and think they're just going to bully us, they got the wrong one. And, we were on the plane traveling out to Arizona. I'll never forget it. Thomas Matthews came with this flyer. He's from Fort Lauderdale area. And he came with this flyer and was like, "Hey man, they're already promoting their back-to-back national championship party." And we was like on the plane. I grabbed that flyer. I'm walking around. So all the players, I said, "You see this? You see what they trying to do? You see what they setting
All
up?"
the
I was like, all the celebrity names on there. Reggie Wayne, Edrin James, my future teammate, and Warren Sapp, and all these guys. And I'm just like, they already got their party plan. I said, you know what? We're gonna crash that party, and we're gonna have a party in Tempe, and they're gonna be upset. And all the guys was focused, and we went out there and we shocked the world. It wasn't easy. We probably really won in the regulation, as they would have called a holding on Chris on the corner on Chris Gamble. But ultimately, it took double overtime, and we pulled it out.
Yeah, that was just a tremendous feat. And what's been the theme of our conversation, in my opinion, on this podcast has been preparation and planning. You all had studied and had prepared and had put in work. And when you do that, you can overcome any kind of odds. When you're willing to put in the work and perseverance.
Absolutely.
Because you all in that game, it didn't like y'all went out there and just crushed them. Y'all had to get up off the mat a couple of times.
Facts.
Had to make a few special plays.
Yes.
During the course of that game.
Yes.
I mean, who won't remember when Maurice Claret, when it took the ball back
from Sean Taylor, God rest his soul.
on the
interception. Yep.
I mean, without plays like that, that's that perseverance. And I talked about with my staff about the value of having a plan. Because life is going to hit you with things. Oh. And if you don't have a plan, you're constantly in a state of flux. And
you ain't lying.
Quoted one of Mike Tyson quotes I always take in is that he said, everybody got planned till they got hit. His whole thing was he gonna make people blow massive amounts of pay-per-view money because he was gonna go out and just rush the person and knock them out. Exactly. They ain't got no plan. Yeah. But the night that didn't work.
Right. Right.
You saw it. Yes. We know how that turned out.
Yes. And I think,
he meant Buster Douglas jab.
Exactly. It did not work that night for him in Japan. He did not. And I correlated to the 5 Ps, as you said. I always use, proper preparation prevents poor performance. And that was something that I learned, under Coach Dungy. And then even now in life after sports, that's something I still carry. Proper preparation prevents poor performance, and it allows, if you're prepared for the moment, then there's nothing that can happen or something that is shocking that can throw you off. You may have to make an audible or a quick decision on the fly, but in the sense, your thought process, if you're strategically calculating, all the options, and if you do have to make that snap decision, you're prepared because you've already planned for that audible. Hey, if this audible needs to happen, this is where we're going with it. So, that's something I continue to carry with me daily, in my current career in commercial real estate here in Central Ohio. I did that in medical sales while I was with Johnson & Johnson and Zimmer Biomet collectively for 10 years with those guys. And even with my transition, I know we were kind of talking on that in 2008 when the game ended for me. That was my last accredited season coming into the spring of 2009. Obama had just got in office. We had just went into a recession. And, I'm a retired athlete trying to figure out what's my next day job is going to be. And I remember making a call to Gene Smith. I called Gene Smith and said, I don't know what I want to do just yet. I just got my degree in the spring, summer commencement of 2008. Can I just come learn the university in ways with the Young Scholars Program? I had a relationship there, knowing Ohio State. And then I said, can I just come learn the ways of university, decide, build a resume up, write my resume out, and just figure out if I want to go into coaching. I was kind of like under Tressel a little bit, kind of learning, do I want to go into coaching? And then deciding, do I want to go into corporate America? And just my entrepreneurship and my business mind, I went and sat down with Gene, followed him for about 6 to 8 months. And I kind of went to some meetings and dinners and, helped raise money for the university and things like that at that time. And I kind of realized I could do sales. I was like, I could get into sales. And, I made the opportunity to go into medical. And my first job offer came from up there in that state up north. So I would put my resume out, sent out, email blasts. And if anybody in the medical space knows, there's some, websites like medreps.com, search engines where you can go search out medical jobs. And I put an email blast out and actually had some interviews up in that state up north. And a guy was like, hey, the distributor was like, hey, I know some people in Columbus, let me make a call. And that kind of kicked off my career in medical here in Central Ohio.
Yeah, one of the things that I really had to give value to is that most athletes have to decide what they want to be when they grow up twice.
Right.
Say
that one more time.
Most athletes have to decide what they want to be when they grow up twice.
Right. Yep.
And there's not many, that doesn't happen to many people. Sure, we change jobs as adults to different things, but athletes are unique in the fact that they have to make that decision twice.
Correct.
So they go from playing being paid to play a game.
Yes.
And they are a professional athlete flying on chartered jets and living that whole glamorous life. But then that ends.
Yes.
Because only a few make so much money that
Correct.
they really can just not figure out anything and do anything else.
Right. Right.
Because how many restaurants have we seen around the country? Some of them have made it.
Some of them don't.
Gone.
Most of them do not make it. So.
Or construction companies, or or auto dealerships. It's it's some common pathways. But with you, one of the principles of Ohio State is paying it forward. And you have, from my observation of what you're doing currently in commercial real estate, has blended in paying it forward in the things you're aspiring to do. Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Obviously joining the Robert Weiler Company there in 2020, right at the start of COVID, was me taking a chance and even taking it a step back. In 2019, I went back to the Ohio State Fisher School of Business to get my master's degree, and it's a Master in Business Operational Excellence. That was something that I aspired to while I was in medical. I wanted to get a master's, and then a lot of those programs were 18 months, 24 months, and the MBOE program is a 13-month program, and then just the timing kind of worked out. I looked at that program for about 2 years, kind of there in 17 and 18, but it worked out in 19 that I could get into the program. And I want, I was thinking that I want to go higher level corporate and medical, or just from again, my entrepreneurship mindset. I was already investing in real estate somewhat early on. And had a few rental properties, little onesie twosies here and there. And then ultimately, me and my business partner had bought some vacation rentals down in Florida at a point in time. And that was fun, down by Disney, and, the VRBO, Airbnb thing was really hot at that time. And then kind of I said, you know what, if I'm looking at HGTV every night, my wife wants to do these renovation things. And I'm just like, you know what, why won't I just make this my lifestyle? Real estate is something I've already had a connection to, already had a relationship with. And I just was able to make that decision, say, I got my master's, let's start fresh, let's start over, let's reinvent myself again. As you said, grow up again, right? And I went back, had a personal relationship, and had a coffee with Skip Weiler, and all of a sudden Skip's like, hey, you want to join the organization? We got some opportunity here. We're losing a couple of sales guys, and you can learn the business. And here we are. 4 years later, been in the organization. Bob has been great. Skip has been great, and Jim has been awesome. And this is a great story about Bob. So when I actually come in, I met Skip, out of the office. We had coffee and our little networking and building rapport. And he's like, hey, meet me at a couple of different meetings, and I go to a county meeting. I won't say what county it is, but I go to the county meeting and I walk in and I'm the only minority in the room. And I kind of, look around and I see, it's a lot of influence, a lot of the powerful decision makers in this room. And I remember, and I said, hey, they were like, hey, what are you here? Who you here for? And we all know Skip. Skip gonna give you that 2-3 minute, walk. He kind of that 2-3 minute, he walking in. And so I had beat Skip there. I was there early, and I was like, yeah, I'm here with Skip Weiler. And the tone in the room was like, oh, really? Like, you would Skip? Oh, okay. Oh, come on in.
You all right?
Yeah, you all right. And then it was like, what's your name? I was like, Mike Doss. He said, Mike Doss. Former Buckeye Mike Doss. I'm like, yes, sir. He's like, oh, okay. Oh, man, you okay with us? Come on in here. And you could just see the energy in the room, and just people started to just, gravitate and just kind of, what do you want to aspire to do? How can we help you? And, and then ultimately, so now I go into my office. Of the story I was going down that line was when I go in to meet with Bob, my first time meeting Bob Weiler, I walk into Robert Weiler down there downtown, and Bob walks in with a number 2 jersey on, and he goes, Mike. He was like, you're number 2 in the program, but you're number 1 in my heart for staying for your senior year.
Oh God,
for staying for your senior year.
I think I got a job. I think I won today.
I think so. But they've been great. A lot of a great organization to be a part of. I mean, the commitment to the community that they have, and the philanthropy, and just the products and the things that they do. Just bringing quality, all around the city, and just helping the city grow, and which, and aspiring for me, knowing that it's a family atmosphere in the office, and right. Bob and Skip asked me, they go, what are your endeavors? How do you see real estate in your future? And I go, I want to learn all aspects of the business. I want to have ownership. I want to get into development. And these are the things that they've been supporting for the last 4 years. And, having the opportunity to break into actually, let me reword that, getting selected to get into the Emerging Developers Accelerator Program with the Affordable Housing Trust of Columbus, and the partnership that they have with Franklin County. That program was truly a godsend for myself, other cohort members, Aaron McDaniels being a young developer, Otto Beatty, being a young developer. This program has given us access to funding sources, resources, relationships in the city of Columbus to allow minority developers, women, people of color, the opportunity to break into development. So as you stated, that is my goal, is to break into development, working on some things now. I'm kind of under the radar, but just, trying to figure out the right opportunity and moving forward.
Yeah, real estate is one of those areas where you can generate wealth if you got access to capital.
Correct.
You can make the right purchases, the right acquisitions, and actually be able to help people too at the same time. And that's really what it's about. It's about making contributions beyond just yourself to benefit. Being able to position yourself to do that. And you're with a great company that I know that are friends of the Ohio State University in many ways, and support nonprofit partners like the cancer support community.
Yes.
Doing a lot of that, giving back, giving back. This is community is only strong is weak as residents. And right. we talk in Franklin County all the time about putting people in a position not just to survive but thrive. And we talk about looking out for the interests of every resident every day. And as the leader of the administration, I want us to not just be about talking about it, but have tangible examples of us doing it. through our work. So this whole hour went. I didn't get. I could actually had a couple areas. I wanted to talk a little bit about the NIL and how that's changed the game, but we had to catch that on another episode. But I want to thank you for providing the behind-the-scenes tour of the Woody Hayes Athletic Facility. It is just a tremendous facility for student athletes to develop their craft and take their shot, so to speak, at getting their degree and going to the next level, in many cases, given the level of athletes that are recruited here at Ohio State. So I want to thank you for allowing those that listen to this podcast to get some insight on this university from someone that lived it every day during their time here. So we're going to wrap this edition up of...
let's just say, again, thank you and Franklin County and the Franklin County podcast, just the opportunity to allow me to speak and use your platform to just let the Franklin County community see a little bit more of me. I mean, you've always known me as an athlete at my days at Ohio State, my professional days, but everyone that sees me here in the last, 2008, 16 years of my life after football. I've been out of football longer than I ever been in it. So, to see me now today was just truly a blessing. God has continuously blessed me, my family, and then just the city and the Franklin County itself supporting me and my endeavors. I'm looking forward to doing many great things here and building on for the near future with the county and the city as well.
Yeah, I want to see you do well, Mr. Doss, because as a fellow girl dad, you need all the help you can get to be able to. That's a tough title to hold.
Yes, I got three of them. I got two. It's
a tough title to hold, being a girl dad.
Yes, sir.
And to excel at it. And for them to vote yes most days that you're doing a good job is particularly tough.
Right. Well,
and I have adult daughters, and I'm still working at it.
Yeah. Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't say their names: Mariah, Jordan, and Cadence. They are the apple of my eye, and they will always, try to put a smile on my face as they are right now. And ultimately, my wife Jasmine, who's from Columbus, always been Columbus native, and we really enjoy the city, the county, and everything that's happening, and the growth in the city. We've seen it over the last 25 years.
Yeah. I know I'm blessed to be able to have had the opportunities professionally that I've had. But when I go home, there's 3 women that rule my world, and I just follow directions and do everything that I'm supposed to do to try to stay in good graces.
No, I agree.
That's all I do.
I got 4 wives. You got 3. I got 4.
That's all I can do. I'm trying to keep going year after year. As we wrap up this podcast, we've had a great discussion. Again, I would thank Michael Doss for giving us a Buckeye-style edition of Talk of the County. And I will conclude, like always, saying, do you. No one else has time to.